Cheat Code Support Strategist by myheadinthecoudsnotcomingdown. Read by Rat Overlord. Chapter 59 Improvement. Summary. Cheat Code finally delivers the analysis packets. Today was the day. It didn't seem like that much of an unusual day in the morning. Shoto had just showed up early to be able to shower before class like he had ever since Endeavor had kicked him out. But when he walked into class, there was a small packet sitting on every single desk besides Ida's, and that was only because he had already picked his up and was reading through it furiously. Ingenium had parked his wheelchair in the back of the room and waved to him with a hand that wasn't currently leafing through a packet of his own. Shoto almost hesitated, but ended up shaking his head and walking to his desk despite how weird this was. When he got to his desk, though, and he noticed the Cheat Code's logo was emblazoned on the cover, everything made sense. The analyst probably still wanted him to use his fire, didn't he? Well, it was high time he started showing his old man that his fire was his now, and not some sort of gift from Endeavor. Besides, Shiggy had been harping on him for using too many of the same attack. Shoto had no idea how they had gotten themselves so many followers in a week, but apparently people just liked to see him make a fool of himself, and he got an unhealthy amount of enjoyment out of imagining his father's face if he found out that over 100,000 people were watching his perfect masterpiece fail every single night. Even just thinking about it made him smile. After the first stream, the new followers had started sending in requests for games for him to try, and one of the most popular ones had been a game called Super Smash Bros. Shoto had never heard of it, but apparently it had been around since pre-Quirk times and had gone through about 1 million different iterations, but all with the same premise of the players trying to beat the shit out of each other and push each other off of a platform. Of course, Shoto hadn't quite understood the goal and immediately walked straight off of it with a delayed "oops" that made the chat go wild, but it brought back pleasant memories from the sports festival. Shoto thought he was almost decent at the game, but Shigaraki apparently disagreed, because he won. Every single time. He said that part of Shoto's problem was that he tried using the same attacks over and over again, and it made him far too predictable and easy to beat. But Shoto thought that was kind of unfair, considering that those were the only 2 attacks that he knew. The only way to get better, though, was to learn more attacks, hence why he was determined to master his fire. The hero course wasn't too much different than a video game, all things considered. If Shigaraki were here, he'd probably call his entire packet a skill list or something and tell Shoto to max out his stats, which he assumed meant something like being the strongest that he could be. He looked through the analysis and suggestions carefully, mentally highlighting anything that he hadn't considered before or felt like he could easily incorporate into an attack. Most of it wasn't new, but before he hadn't been ready to, how would Shiggy say it? Level up? By now, most of the class had arrived and most of the classmates were yelling about what was in their packets, comparing them to each other. Some were pretty happy with the suggestions, like Ashiro, who had to be persuaded not to try some of the new techniques on her desk, while others were a little less receptive.
Why should I stop looking at babes during battle?
Minetta sighed.
Poops are life, not distractions!
Lactose intolerant? Ayama's sparkle almost seemed dimmer.
None! Tell me it can't be true!
Consider avoiding daylight,
Tokoyami muttered.
So the demon behind the screen wishes me to embrace the darkness.
Oh, stop being so dramatic! Jiro rolled her eyes. You don't have to take the suggestions, you know.
But I mean, that's why Cheat Code is giving them out to us, right?
Kaminari pointed out.
So we'll have time to incorporate them before the finals.
Shoto nodded. It made sense. He wasn't quite sure who Cheat Code actually was, or why he was so invested in their class, but his old man never accepted help, so Shoto was going to take as much of it as he could get, and then hopefully rub it in Endeavor's face. Mina bounced excitedly over to Uraraka.
Okay, Miss Gravity Warper over there! What does yours say?
Uraraka flips helplessly through her packet, which on further inspection was just a single page. Nothing.
What?
Bakugo almost exploded as he ripped the paper from her hands.
Does that pencil pusher think that you're better than the rest of us and don't need advice or something? Come talk to me? What the fuck does that even mean?
Mineta gasped and stopped crying.
Uraraka, do you know who cheat code is?
Uraraka's eyes widened and she started waving her arms. No, I don't. Or, at least I don't think so.
Maybe he's hiding in plain sight,
Shota suggested.
or maybe it isn't a person at all and it's actually just a concept.
Yayorosu nodded. That would make sense.
No, it wouldn't.
Kaminari pulled at his hair.
A concept can't make analysis packets.
Shota just raised an eyebrow.
Can it?
His eye was drawn back to Uraraka when Shinso walked over to her desk and whispered something into her ear. Her eyes widened and Shoto heard her earrings beep a few times before she was gone. It was going to be difficult to beat her with her new quirk developments, but he'd find a way. Maybe Shigaraki could help him figure out a way to work around the glitch? On second thought, that probably wasn't the best idea. It was hard to remember that Shigaraki was a villain sometimes and not just some hobo that he met in an alleyway. Aizawa walked in a few seconds after the bell, and by the look in his face, he was seriously considering walking straight back out again.
I see a cheat code left your analysis packets this morning. Actually, I think he might have left them last night.
Shinso grinned.
Pretty sure he basically haunts the walls of UA like some sort of goblin.
Aizawa glared at him for a second before sighing.
I'm looking forward to see how you incorporate his critiques, but don't forget that you have academics as well. Now open your books, we have a lot of work to do if you expect to pass the finals and earn the right to participate in the summer training camp.
The class exploded.
What?
Spinner wondered if this was what it meant to go mad with power. He certainly felt a little mad, but Stain had believed that a little insanity was the only way to save the world. Spinner felt him sometimes, deep inside his mind, whispering. He even swore that he could see the hero killer in his dreams sometimes, a shadowy figure vaguely almost there, but not quite. It felt like there was something Stain wanted him to know. But their bond wasn't deep enough for any real communication to happen, and All for One had told him that there was only one way to make a deeper bond, by carrying on Stain's legacy and following in his footsteps. He had spent the last week killing as many false heroes as he could, and for someone who had never killed a single person before, he was actually fairly good at it. Stain's quirk covered his weaknesses perfectly, and with the way that their quirks combined, it was almost as if it was destiny that Spinner continued the hero killer's work. He would use his birth quirk to climb the walls of the alleyways where the heroes would be passing, and then strike. All for One had been kind enough to gift him with Stain's katana, so he used it often, but he found that with the addition of Stain's quirk, his teeth had shaped themselves into sharp points, and whatever weak, natural venom his lizard quirk had given him made Stain's quirk even more effective. So, if he bit the false heroes, they would be paralyzed even longer, and it eliminated the middleman, since the blood could be ingested immediately, instead of after some delay. He'd gone after small heroes so far, sidekicks, and lesser-known targets such as Native, who was currently frozen on the ground in front of him. Perhaps he should keep to operating mostly in the cover of darkness, but if Trapper could effectively move around and avoid detection during the day, then Spinner could learn to do the same. He couldn't afford to sit around and waste time when there were fakes that needed to be eliminated and a legacy that he needed to maintain. He licked the last of the blood off his lips and stalked towards Native.
You are a disgrace to the rank of heroes. You're a fake and you don't deserve your title, much less your life.
Native was panting heavily, unable to move to stop the bleeding from either the stab wound in his shoulder or the bite mark in his hand.
Who even are you?
I'm the hero killer's successor,
Spinner answered.
The mark left by Stain's murder that can never be removed. I'm the one who's going to rid society of fake heroes like you!
Native's eyes widened in terror.
You're insane!
Maybe. Spinner smiled, his newly sharpened teeth on full display.
But I've done more for society already than you've done in your entire miserable career, and I'm going to do so much more!
He used Stain's katana to stab Native in the leg, twisting the blade as he pulled it out.
I hope the heroes find you before you bleed out so you can spread Stain's message. But if not, it's no big loss. You aren't doing any good alive, either.
Native's cries echoed in his ears as Spinner climbed up the wall and went off to find his next victim. Howdy, howdy, my fellow rats. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like or comment down below because I love hearing from you guys. And feel free to subscribe so you can stay up to date with whenever I post. And as always, hydrate, not dehydrate, and love yourself.